Submarine Titans is an underwater RTS based around, that's right, submarines from developer Ellipse Studios, an Australian developer. So is Submarine Titans worth playing in current year, or is it better left in the primordial past of 2000? Let's find out. To start with, if you buy the game on Steam, you'll be getting version 1.0 instead of the newer version 1.1. Unfortunately, updating to version 1.1 is not a simple affair, and you'll likely need to make some registry edits. But trust me, it's trivial. All you need to do is find your Submarine Titans folder and double click on version and replace the 0 with 01000000. Boom! Now you can update to version 1.1, which works, but when I record, it looks like this. Sure, I could just slide the footage to the middle of the screen, but surely we can do better. Enter the unofficial patch. Installing this is even easier than the registry edit. Simply download the patch and drop everything into your Submarine Titans folder. There, much better. Now we can talk about the actual game. On the surface, Submarine Titans is a pretty standard RTS, but it does a few things that set it apart. One of the most interesting ideas is that of depth. Depth goes from 1 to 5, and every sub and defensive structure in the game has a depth range. This makes positioning and approach really important. It's entirely possible to fly over enemy defences if they are positioned on the ocean floor, or be caught by enemy turrets because you flew over a mountain and got caught by high up turrets on the other side. In this way, depth shapes everything in the game. Where am I going to build my base? Somewhere where I can position defensive structures high up enough to be able to intercept enemies. The main problem with this system is the game doesn't tell you units and buildings' depth range. You basically have to learn them as you play, which is a real missed opportunity since the game has an in-game encyclopedia, which could have done with depth range listed. Unfortunately, it does not. Submarine Titans has 3 factions, the White Sharks, Black Octopi, and the Silicons. Each of these factions has their own unique look and units. White Shark subs look like standard military rectangles, Black Octopi have more slick, futuristic subs, and the Silicon have strange alien creatures like sub-things. Their uniqueness extends to gameplay. While the White Sharks and Black Octopi are both human factions, they play rather differently, with the White Sharks having access to cheaper and stronger units overall, but Black Octopi having access to more versatile units, for example a stealth sub, or a sub that can paralyze other subs. But the really unique faction is the Silicons. They even use different resources than the other two. They don't have access to gold, which the humans use to trade and research, or oxygen, which humans need to run their base effectively. Instead they have energy, which is a very wide-ranging resource for their faction, and instead of using metal to make their ships, they convert it into energy and use silicon, a unique resource they passively gain over time based on the amount of refineries they have. The only resource that all 3 factions use in the same way is corium, which is used to produce most military ships, together with either metal or silicon. Submarine Titans also has an ammo system. Most ships have a limited supply of ammo and must resupply from a munitions facility. Luckily, they don't have to physically go to it, and ammo is automatically sent out. This system encourages you to diversify your fleet. After all, if you use a lot of the same type of ship, it's easy to deplete your ammo supplies faster than you can produce it, leading to your ships hanging in the water, unable to defend themselves. The Silicons are an exception to this mechanic. While a few of their ships do use ammo, most don't. Instead, they use energy as a universal ammo type, which they do need to physically resupply their ships with. A very interesting mechanic here in Submarine Titans is the idea of the AI assistant. Once turned on, the AI can take control of parts of your base or the whole thing and manage it for you. This is a really neat idea that I do wish you could have used more in the campaign. Unfortunately, its main utility is in skirmish. I was a little surprised that such a great mechanic hasn't been utilised in more games, as it can really help with the micromanagement and tedium. Even something as simple as assigning a builder to build defences or resource gathering operations on its own is a great idea. The only newer game I can think of that uses this mechanic is The Scouring, or for older titles, Earth 2140 or Warzone 2100. This may have been the first RTS to use the mechanic, please correct me if I'm wrong. This game also has a retreat to repair mechanic. You can individually set units to retreat and repair when their health falls to a certain limit. Another mechanic this game might be the first to utilise. Moving on to the plot and story, there's unfortunately not a lot here. Each faction has 10 missions, for a total of 30 missions overall, and all faction stories are rather weak. The main problem with the game's plot is a lot of it is told through the manual. It's a very clear case of telling, not showing. When it comes to the game, we only get a short briefing before each level, which doesn't usually give us much plot or story, but what really gets me is the lack of characters. I don't think there is a single named character in the game. Not even you are ever named, which feels very jarring. For example, in the White Shark campaign, you get betrayed by somebody and he is never named. Even in the briefing for the next mission, he is only referred to as the leader of the fleet of the 2nd Department of General Security Agency. Not exactly a name that rolls off the tongue, is it? I'm not saying the game needed hundreds of voice-acted characters, but some consistent named characters that you interact with across campaigns could have really helped the story, which feels rather lifeless. To make matters even worse, there is no ending cutscene for any faction. Honestly, it's just shame because the setting is really interesting, but the game doesn't do a good job of utilising it. Things like the white sharks being remnants of a UN branch, or how the black octopi was an environmentalist tech conglomerate originally called Eco-Octopus, which started the sea colonization in the first place, or how there are still humans living on the surface of what's left of the Earth, who've regressed back to feudal-level society. None of these things are used or even mentioned in the campaign, which is a real missed opportunity. With all that said, do I recommend the game? Well, I think the gameplay is pretty great, and the game looks really good for a 2000s title. I do have a few problems with the gameplay, mainly no idle gatherer button and no attack move. Instead of a tap move, you can draw an attack square, which is simply not as good as attack moving because it doesn't take into account new enemies arriving, only the enemies you lassoed in your square. But I still recommend the game. Maybe not the campaign from a story perspective, but I would say it's worth playing through just to see it once. But if you're looking for an epic narrative experience, you won't find it here. Submarine Titans is £4.30 on Steam or £4 on GOG. The game is currently on sale on GOG for just 80 pence until the 11th, so if you want to pick it up, now's the time. If you want to hold out for a Steam version, that one regularly falls down to 85 pence, so if you're even slightly interested in trying it, price isn't really a barrier. Thanks for watching. What are some other RTS or strategy games with AI assistance? Personally, I love having AI-controlled allies in games, so if you're aware of any, tell me. Please. For my next video, well, let's take a gander at our community poll. It seems after 3 attempts, XCOM Chimera Squad has finally won, and I only just realised they'll spelt it wrong in the poll. Whoops! Anyway, look forward to that video, I know I am. Thank you again for watching and see you next time.